The Battle of the Trench Ghazwa-e-Khandak remains one of the most significant and pivotal moments in the history of Islam. It stands as a testament to the power of faith, unity, and strategic brilliance under the leadership of Prophet Muhammad PBUH. This crucial battle unfolded in the year 627 CE, in the heart of Medina, a city that had become the stronghold of the Muslim community after the Prophet and his followers migrated from Mecca. By this point, Islam was no longer just a small movement, it was a force to be reckoned with. However, it also attracted fierce opposition from the Quraysh, the dominant tribe of Mecca, who sought to stamp out Islam and return to their position of power and influence. The Quraysh had suffered several setbacks in earlier encounters with the Muslims, most notably at the Battle of Uhud, where they had been defeated despite initially gaining the upper hand. Unable to tolerate the growing influence of Islam, the Quraysh, alongside a coalition of allied tribes, decided to launch a massive offensive against Medina, hoping to destroy the Muslim community once and for all. The coalition army numbered around 10,000 soldiers, far larger than any force the Muslims had faced before. In response to this existential threat, Prophet Muhammad PBUH called upon his companions for counsel. This was a critical moment in the history of Islam. The Prophet, despite his immense leadership and wisdom, knew that no battle could be won without the support of his companions and a clear plan. One of the companions, Salman al-Farsi, a Persian convert to Islam, suggested an innovative tactic that he had seen used in his homeland. He recommended digging a trench around the city to protect it from the advancing enemy forces. This defensive strategy was unheard of in the Arabian Peninsula but was highly effective in warfare, and Prophet Muhammad PBUH embraced the idea. The Muslims, despite their smaller numbers and limited resources, worked tirelessly to dig a large trench around Medina. The trench stretched several miles, particularly on the northern side where the enemy was most likely to attack. The task was grueling, with the Muslims working under harsh desert conditions, often without adequate food or water. The trench was deep and wide enough to prevent the enemy from easily crossing, and it became a symbol of the unity and determination of the Muslims to defend their faith and their city. Despite the physical hardships, every Muslim took part in the work, demonstrating the strength of their collective will. Even the Prophet Muhammad PBUH worked alongside his companions, encouraging them and sharing in their labor. When the Quraysh and their allies arrived at Medina, they were taken aback by the trench. Their usual methods of assault, such as cavalry charges or direct sieging, were ineffective against this unprecedented defense. Unable to breach the trench, the Quraysh army set up camp around the city and began a prolonged siege, hoping that time and starvation would force the Muslims to surrender. However, Prophet Muhammad PBUH had anticipated such a scenario. The Muslims fortified the city, securing the trench, and divided their forces to defend every vulnerable point. The siege lasted for days, and tensions within both camps escalated. Inside Medina, the Muslims were under constant pressure, not knowing when or how the siege would end. The Quraysh, on the other hand, were frustrated by their inability to penetrate the trench. Despite their superior numbers, they could not engage the Muslims in battle, and this was a huge blow to their morale. In this period of uncertainty, Prophet Muhammad PBUH inspired his companions with his unshakable faith in Allah's support and his belief that they would emerge victorious. His leadership, coupled with the faith of the Muslims, kept the community united, even as they faced extreme hardship. Meanwhile, the Quraysh attempted several tactics to breach the trench. They sent out their elite warriors to cross the trench in strategic locations, but each attempt was thwarted by the Muslims' vigilance and preparation. The defenders of Medina, including archers and foot soldiers, were able to repel each advance. Despite these setbacks, the Quraysh refused to give up and continued to mount pressure on the city. In addition to the military struggle, the Muslims also had to deal with internal challenges. A group of Jewish tribes in Medina, who had initially made peace treaties with the Muslims, betrayed their agreements and conspired with the Quraysh. This act of treason further complicated the situation for the Muslims. However, Prophet Muhammad PBUH dealt with the situation swiftly and justly, restoring order and unity among the Muslims. As the siege wore on, something unexpected happened. Allah intervened in a way that no one could have predicted. A mighty storm struck the Quraysh camp. Fierce winds and rain tore apart their tents, throwing their forces into chaos. The Quraysh, already exhausted by the prolonged siege and demoralized by their repeated failures, were unable to recover from the storm. Their morale collapsed, and many soldiers began to doubt the success of their mission. In a moment of desperation, the Quraysh decided to retreat, unable to withstand the weather and their inability to breach the trench. The victory was a remarkable moment in Islamic history. The Muslims, despite being outnumbered and under siege, had prevailed. They had defended their city and faith with unparalleled courage, relying on strategy, unity, and trust in Allah's guidance. The retreat of the Quraysh and their allies was a turning point in the struggle between Islam and its enemies. It marked the end of the Quraysh's efforts to destroy Islam by force and set the stage for the eventual conquest of Mecca. The Battle of the Trench is not only significant for its military outcome but also for the lessons it teaches about faith, patience, and resilience. The Muslims' unwavering trust in Allah, their strategic ingenuity, and their collective spirit ensured their success, even when the odds were stacked against them. The victory also paved the way for future successes and further solidified the leadership of Prophet Muhammad (PBUH), who continued to guide the Muslim community with wisdom and compassion. In the years that followed, Islam continued to spread rapidly across the Arabian Peninsula, and the Prophet's efforts brought more tribes into the fold of Islam. The Battle of the Trench demonstrated that true strength comes from faith and unity, and that Allah's help is always there for those who trust in Him. As we reflect on this powerful moment in Islamic history, we are reminded of the importance of perseverance, strategic thinking, and maintaining unity, especially in times of adversity. The victory at Khandak was not just a military win, it was a spiritual triumph that reinforced the belief that with Allah's support, nothing is impossible. If you enjoyed this video and found it informative, please like and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful content on Islamic history and other important topics. Your support helps us continue creating educational videos. Thank you for watching.